Illusion. This is a very simple game, and it is a game with a peculiar tagline, which is, how much color can you really see? And I wondered at the beginning if that was a mistake. Maybe they meant how many colors, but no, they really mean what proportion of color can you see? If you played Timeline, well, then you played a very similar game. In Timeline, you had to organize a set of cards in a line from left to right in ascending chronological order. The cards represent different events in history. Here you had to organize cards based on increasing proportions of colors. You had two decks of cards, one with arrows of different colors, and yes, you can already tell the game is completely unplayable by players that are colorblind. You shuffle these cards, then you draw one, and that card indicates what is the active the active color for the current round. Then you have the main deck of cards here with patterns that have different shapes and different proportions of four colors: yellow, red, blue, and green. And on the back of the cards you have the breakdown of how much of each color is on the other side. For example, this card has 11% red and 13% yellow. When you look at this side, 22% green and 35% blue. Pretty simple. You shuffle these cards, making sure that the breakdown is on the other side, is not visible to the players, and then you're ready to go. The first player takes the deck, takes the first card, and places it next to the arrow. That is easy. The other cards need to be placed in ascending order, from the card that has the least of the target color to the card that has the most. So when it's my turn, I take the deck, I look at the top card, and if I think it has more of the target color, blue, of that card, I place it here. If I think it has less, and I think it does have less, I place it here. The same for later cards. If this is my turn and these are the cards available, I have to choose if it should go here, in between those two, or here, and I think it goes here. Now, I believe that this one goes there, and so on and so forth. So when it is your turn, you need to place the top card somewhere in the line where you believe it belongs, unless you think that there already is a mistake in the line when it is your turn. In which case, instead of placing a card, you simply say so. I think there is a mistake. Then the game stops and you flip the cards and you look at the solution and you see if in fact the proportions are steadily increasing without any mistake. And that would be the case. Hooray, there were no mistakes here. Suppose, however, that when we flip the cards, that was the situation with 25 after the 26, then there is a mistake. If there is a mistake in the line, somebody asks to look at it, then the player that called the mistake wins the round and takes this card as a trophy, also as a scoring card. The first player to collect 3 cards with the arrow is the winner of the game. If there were no mistakes, then the player, before the one that called a mistake, so the last player to place a correct card, wins the round and takes the trophy card. And then at that point, you simply discard all of these cards, draw a new target card, and you continue the game. As simple as that. Like this, and maybe like this, and maybe like this. This green, where does it go? I think there, and so on. And so, I don't know if I should put it here or here. I'll say here, and so on and so forth. Very simple, as you can see. I played the game with my 7-year-old daughter, Amelia, who really likes it. I could definitely play with my 5-year-old, at least because of the rules and no reading involved. As for the quote-unquote strategy, I don't know, it's kind of hard for kids that young to really define and to really be able to assess where they should go. But this is the game. Very simple, definitely a super light, super simple filler. My 7-year-old daughter, Amelia, likes it, and she asked me to play it several times, and I don't mind. I also, however, don't particularly enjoy the game. Again, I don't hate it, I don't love it. I'm like, okay, I'll play it without enthusiasm. I'm happy because of the opportunity of hanging out now with my 7-year-old, but if I could do it with a game that I find a little more exciting, of course, that would be even better. And there are a lot of games like that on the market, so this would not be the first game on my list. I guess it could be good, training her, I don't know, with perception skills, cognitive skills. I'm making it up, I don't have any research. But as parents, we always think, oh, this is definitely going to develop this and that skill. Whether or not that's true, it makes us feel good about ourselves. Again, if nothing else, the skill of playing a game with somebody, wait for your turn, be happy if you win, don't be desperate if you lose. That is a developable skill, no matter which game you're playing. But again, maybe you can train those skills with other games. Illusion is very simple. It has the advantage that you can play it with in completely casual gamers, with non-gamers at all, with players that don't play games at all. There isn't going to be any barrier in terms of rules. There can be that barrier, of course, in terms of, again, color blindness. You may have friends that you don't play games with that are not as apt at telling color apart as you believe. I myself discovered that I have more colorblind friends that I knew simply by playing games, because it's not a topic for conversation that comes up very often. Otherwise, you don't introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Paul. I come from Iowa and I'm colorblind and I like to read novels. That's not in the top 5 things that people tell you. And maybe it comes out there at a game night, a casual game night, and maybe don't feel comfortable sharing, but they have to because it's gonna come up anyway. So there's gonna be that problem. So actually, that may be one reason why I may not propose this as a game to play with, casual acquaintances or people that I don't play games with regularly. On the other hand, there are friends of mine that I know colors is not their forte, and I discovered it because they told me we were playing games like, oh my god, this card is really hard, and now I know that not to propose to play this game when they're around. So first, I cannot just play it with everybody, and I don't feel comfortable just trying it on people that I may not know very well. When we go camping, I like to bring small portable games. This is not going to be one of them, precisely because, I don't know, it may come up, people may feel uncomfortable talking about that, and then also at the end, if they don't feel all that uncomfortable and they tell me I can't really play it, we still can't play. So all other things being equal, if I have a game that is this simple to play and doesn't have things that are coded only by color, I would prefer. If I play with players that I know can tell colors apart, maybe I'll play another game. Maybe I'll play Timeline if that is really the kind of game that we want to play. Place cards in a certain order without making mistakes. There are just other games that do this better. One thing I like about this game is simply the look of it. These cards are very pretty. I like the variety of patterns. But that may be pretty much the only saving grace. I mean, in terms of complexity, games with this same engine, there are other ones out there such as Timeline that are a little more interesting. They can be played by a larger number of people, and also Timeline, heck, is a way to teach history to your kids, to help them get a sense of when things happen and the progression of history. This one doesn't have all that much. This being said, my daughter Amelia likes it for that specific target. My daughter, I know she can tell color apart, and she enjoys this game, and then she asked me to play it. I'm happy to play with it. I don't think it's a game that otherwise I would need to add to my collection, because doesn't have all that many users and is not that interesting and exciting. Again, with people that they can tell color apart, and if you're looking for a very simple, incredibly light filler to play with, this could be an option. Another thing that I'm not so sure that I like all that much is that, frankly, when we start having a longer line with very small increments between one card and the other. Say here there is a 7%, 8%, and 9%, although we don't know exactly those are the numbers, but we see they're almost the same. And then you get another card within that range, then it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to tell where it goes exactly. So it becomes more like push your luck, like, well, I really have no idea where it should go. I'm going to try to place it here. And then if it's a push your luck, it's just a different type of game. And for push your luck games, then I'll play Zombie Dice instead. So Illusion is not a game that with the exception of being unplayable by colorblind people. It's not a game that is terrible. It's just that what it does is pretty unremarkable, and there are games that do pretty much the same thing: placing cards in a line, timeline, pushing your luck with very simple rules, zombie dice. There are just other games that do the same thing better in an easier way, and so I don't really know what the perfect target for Illusion would be. It's not a bad game, but doesn't have much to go for it either.